Essex. BBC Essex. Tony Fisher. BBC Essex.
You know, we've got some really talented people in our county. Essex is home to the crime writer Martina Cole, Ollie Murs, Depeche Mode. You know what? The list is pretty much endless. Well, now it is the home to 17-year-old poet Preesha Jain, who is the top 15 winner of the Young Poets of the Year award. She was one of 6,791 international entrants, and I'm delighted to say that Preesha is with us this afternoon. A warm welcome to BBC Essex. How are you feeling?
I'm very good, thank you.
And I would imagine ecstatic, because that really is quite something, isn't it?
Yeah, it just took me a while to come to terms with it, but yeah, I'm quite proud of myself.
Well, congratulations. And tell me a little bit about when you first sent this poem off, because did you have any idea in the back of your mind that this would do as well as it did?
No, the only reason I actually wrote this poem was because it was lockdown. My GCSEs were cancelled, so I had nothing to do. So I just sort of started writing poetry for fun. But then once I finished writing it, I thought that this was quite good. And then I remember that I saw some posters about this competition around school. So I just thought, why not enter it? And I just did it for some fun. I was not expecting to win at all.
And how long have you been writing poetry?
So I used to write a bit when I was younger, but it was only in year 10 when we started studying poetry for our English that I actually saw it in a new light, and I became really interested in it. And then it was lockdown that was the excuse for me to start writing poetry. So not for a very long time.
Now, this I know is a poem that's very close to your heart, and this is all about a very important family member, isn't it?
Yeah, so my poem is called My Grandmother, and the inspiration behind it was my actual grandmother. I guess I just took a lot of inspiration from her and traditional Indian culture, and I tried to put that in the context of British supermarkets. So it kind of shows how people look at the culture just simply because it's different to theirs. And so I just kind of wanted to show the beauty of it.
Have you got it in front of you right now, Preesha?
Yeah, I do.
Oh, wonderful. Well, if you wouldn't mind, let's have it right now. Let's hear the poem that came into the top 15. This is on BBC Essex right now, My Grandmother by Preesha Jain.
My grandmother wears silk saris, woven with soft threads from India, stained with rich indigo dye. Tiny peacocks perch in the folds, and flecks of gold adorn them like jewels, sparkling with every movement. A red bindi sits between her brows. She's a queen, but in Tesco, she's an obscurity in the spice aisle. My grandmother has silver hair, plaited in intricate patterns, with garlands of yellow marigolds tucked into the strands, accompanied with a sprinkling of sweet-smelling jasmine flowers, the marriage of the sun and moon. But in Sainsbury's, she's an oddity amongst the frozen chapatis. My grandmother speaks in Hindi, the language of saffron mangoes and fragrant blushing lotuses. It flows like the Ganga, with praises like honeyed rose petals, and even the stinging cusses like a biting Karela sound like a nightingale song. But her broken English, in Morrison's, reduces her to suspicious looks at the pickle shelf. Thank you.
Oh, Preesha, that is so beautiful. And I love the way you've wound in the supermarkets in that one. When did it first come to you that to bring the supermarket element into it?
Well, I was just kind of thinking about my grandmother and about I don't know why I brought it in. I guess supermarkets are just a really common place for people of all cultures really to go there. So I guess that's why I chose it.
Yeah. It works beautifully, and the way that you've wound all those beautiful colours and obviously thoughts of your grandmother at the same time, and then to bring it into the supermarket gives a sort of commonality, and then to take us back as well. It's wonderful, wonderful stuff. What tip would you have now? Because people who have been in lockdown and may, be back in again at some point, and you say you've taken that time for yourself to be able to compose this. What tip would you give to anybody, any budding poets that are listening at the moment?
I think really anyone can write poetry as long as you make it genuine and write about, it could be about something you're passionate about, something personal, or really you could write it about anything that comes to mind. But I think if you just write down your thoughts unfiltered and then spend some time editing and tweaking it so you can make it the best it can be and make sure that the message you're trying to convey comes across. But I think once you get started, which is the hardest part, and if you keep practicing, it will just come more naturally.
Wonderful. Well, now you're known to the Poetry Society, of course. I was just looking on Twitter there, and you're mentioned by so many different people, which is just wonderful. Is this giving you the confidence now to maybe think about writing a collection, possibly, and getting published?
I haven't thought that far ahead, but it has definitely given me a lot more confidence in my skills, because previously this was just something that I did for myself and for fun, but now that I've actually got the validation that, yes, I'm good at it, it's definitely boosted my confidence, and I do want to write a lot more in the future.
Well, you must stay in touch, Preesha. It's lovely to catch up with you today. Congratulations once again on that amazing award. And thanks for being with us today. That 17-year-old poet, Preesha Jain, who is the top 15 winner of the Young Poet of the Year award, bearing in mind she was one of 6,791 international entrants. What a wonderful story with my grandmother. It's BBC Essex.